It cut me off and I'm really sorry. So that's what I get for wandering back to the bunk. I am back on though. I'm heading back into the barn. So I'll wait again for everybody to log on, and I am so sorry about that. I've switched my Wi-Fi so that I'm on data now. So that should definitely help us out. So again, I do apologize to everybody that was on and have to log back on. So I'm wondering if one of our admins could maybe type a little note on the page to let everybody know that we are back on, and I do apologize for getting cut off like that. My internet dropped. So like I started to say, we are spreading manure in our fields today as well, which is going to allow us to have some great fertilizer for those fields, and to allow us to have our hay grow and be really healthy this year, which is great. So again, I'm going to wait a few more minutes. I apologize. We had about 30 people watching and we're back down to 2 or 3. So I'm going to wait till everybody logs back on again. While we're waiting, we could try and meet some cows. So I'm going to walk down here. The girls are a little bit hungry this morning. We're a little bit late feeding them because we were covering that bunk up this morning. But Rodan might let me here. So I'm going to flip this camera around. This is one of my favorite cows here. This is Rodan. She is a 2-year-old heifer, which means that she's had 1 baby calf so far, and this is her first lactation, which means it's her first year actually as a milking cow. So a nice, fun, small fact about the language in our industry is that cows are not called cows until they actually have a calf and they start milking. So we are... Yeah, so just a little tidbit there. But yeah, she's a sweetheart here. She's pretty friendly, and she's used to us chatting with her a little bit. So, but they are so as soon as my husband is done with filling that bunk up with nice, good, healthy feed for them, he's going to get in there and he's going to get them fed. So they had feeding for them this morning, but they're just starting to clean it up a little bit. This is Allure as well. She's also a 2-year-old. So, hi baby. So she's a little shy, but she's also had her first calf, and this is her first lactation as well. Yeah. So these girls are pretty sweet. So because we work with our cattle quite often, they are pretty familiar with us. They're quite friendly. They definitely know who we are. Some of our calves are pretty fun for that too. Let me see if I can find a couple down here. We're waiting for a few more people to get on. So we have I'm going to show you, I'm going to flip around here and show you a little bit here. So we have our cattle in what's called a freestall barn. So our barn here, our cattle are free to roam. They're free to walk around and to eat as they please, to milk as they please, to sleep as they please. So everything is completely on their own terms. So when I say their own terms, they even choose to be milked. So that actually is a great transition to go ahead and show you how we milk our cattle here at Browndale. So what we have is called a robotic milking system. So what that means is we have a robot that milks the cows. The cows literally line up at their leisure, and they get milked as little or as often as they choose. So most of our cattle will get milked anywhere from 2 to 5 times a day. So you can see here, hi sweet girl, she is literally standing here. She's looking at me because I'm distracting her, but she's standing here and she's waiting to get milked by the robot. I'm going to step right in here and show you a little bit about how that works as well. Now, I apologize for the mess. They are live animals, so they do defecate, so there is a little bit of that in different places. But you can see here, there are brushes that clean the teats so that we get very nice and a nice sanitary surface that the milk comes out of. And then there is a laser that will come and scan the teat ends, and then the teat cups will attach there in a second if they will. But I mean, and they really are very sweet. Like, I mean, I'm just standing right here with them, and so you can definitely see they're happy. They're giving me a little love. So it's a mutual respect. They love us, we love them. We do what we can to take care of them, and they do what they can to help us out. So here she is here. So that scatter's coming on, and it's just hooking right on there for her. So it's pretty interesting how that works. Yeah. So like I said, she walked in on all her own. She gets a nice little treat while she's doing that. Oh, looks like the lasers had a little trouble finding it. So we did have to train them a little bit. All we had to do more or less was show them that they had to walk to where it was to get milked. And they do actually quite enjoy being milked. And the reason I say that is they naturally do produce quite a bit of milk. So our cattle here, they tend to milk an average of about 40 liters per day. So our top producing cow right now, she's milking about 63 liters right now every day. And so she goes to the robot naturally on her own I think she goes about 4 times a day. So we did train them to go through, but what that does is it just shows them where the milking machine is. It's still their choice to walk in. It's still their choice to go get milked. It's a relief for them. It relieves that pressure. I mean, it's not unlike a woman that's breastfeeding. If you just simply stop and you're producing at full tilt, it's very uncomfortable. It's very painful. And so they do like to get milked. I mean, you can see them all standing here waiting in line. So it's not uncommon in our barn to have probably 6 or 8 cows just waiting to get milked. So what I'll do is I'll slip inside the actual robot room and show you a little bit of where that milk goes once it leaves the cow. So a small fact about a cow is so for us, we do breed our cattle probably at about 12 to 14 months old, which means that they are going to start producing milk at about 2 years old. Now, at that 2-year mark, within about probably a few days of them starting to calve, they'll start to come into their full production of milk, which means they can be producing anywhere from 20 to about 40 or 50 liters within 7 to about 28 days. And so what we generally do is we make sure that we take enough milk for the calves so that they will be sustained properly and kept very healthy. And what we do is we feed the calves. The calves will generally eat anywhere from 3 to 10 liters a day depending on their age. And so if you think of a full production cow milking 60 liters, there's no way that a calf can drink that amount. And so what we do is we make sure that we harvest enough milk to make sure those calves are well fed and growing very healthy and steadily. And the excess is what we sell and what ends up on your breakfast tables. So I'm going to show you a little bit of the other side here. So I have a computer system here that shows me who this is. So this is Jacob. She's also another 2-year-old. Here it shows me her number and her name. It shows me it's her first lactation. She's milking 151 days so far. So she, if I flip this other screen, so she's milking 38.8 liters a day, and she likes to come in a little over 7 hours every day. So she gets milked 2.5 times a day. I will be completely honest, I have never gone to fetch this cow and tell her she should come and get milk. She comes completely on her own and does all of this. So I'm going to come on in here and I'm going to show you what it looks like from this angle. And then she's just up here having a nice little snack. Hi, Jason, you saying hi? Hi, sweet girl. So she's got a nice little snack that she has in there. While she's eating, and it just kind of keeps her occupied while she's milking. So, yeah, that's Jason. So she's going to be a little while getting milked in here. So I'll show you where the milk goes. Sorry for the back and forth a little. It's a little bit awkward to get under all the ropes here. So when she's done milking, what the milk is doing is it's flowing through these hoses and these tubes, and it comes into this jar. So this jar is filled between every cow individually, so that we can test each cow for the milk. We want to know what the quality of the milk is for each cow. that way we can know what their milk temperature was, if there's a higher white cell count in their system, anything like that that would indicate if there is any sort of illness going on with the cow, and if there's any quality issues with the milk, it is automatically dumped into the sewer. And so it's really an assurance that we're only shipping the best quality, and also allowing us to have a really good herd management of those cattle, and knowing that we're catching illnesses before they even begin, just through the temperature of the milk even. So I have a question here. How important has technology been for production and care of our cows? So for us, it's been incredibly important. A little bit about me. My background actually isn't in dairy farming. I am actually a 4th generation farmer, 3rd generation dairy farmer, but I didn't milk a cow until I was 30 years old. So my mother wasn't involved much with the farm growing up. My parents are still together, happily married. But my mom was more of a city girl, and so we lived in town, and my dad came to work every day. We used to come and visit and play in the farm, but it wasn't part of my everyday. And it wasn't until I was 30 where my father ran into a little bit of trouble with his help on the farm and became shorthanded. He was given a few weeks' notice, and he was going to lose all of his help. And so he had a family of 4 that was working for him at the time, and we didn't have any replacement. So I sat down with my husband, and we had a good conversation, and we made a decision together that we weren't going to watch my father try and do that on his own, and either lose the farm or die trying to keep it going with all the work that there was. So what we decided to do was help him out and figure it out. Neither one of us had really been on a farm before, so it was a bunch of city kids trying to figure it out. And we milked in our old tie stall barn, which was an amazing experience. It was a great way to get firsthand knowledge and hands-on experience of our animals and how to care for them, and the compassion and the amount of work that the generations that came before me had for our cattle. Moving forward, though, we didn't want to run into a situation before where we were ever going to be forced to choose if we had to sell or keep going, simply because we couldn't find help. And so we chose to build a modern facility. And at the time, I was still working full-time off farm as an esthetician. That is my background. And so I've been farming now for 8 years, and I can't imagine how my life was complete without it before. It's really something that was in my blood and in my bones, and that I didn't really know was there. So modern technology, what it allowed us to do was breathe new life into our farm, and allow me as a young woman with my husband to take over, and to know that if at the end of the day we had to do it just the 2 of us, we absolutely could. So we're very fortunate that we don't. My dad is still very active on the farm full time. We have an amazing gentleman working with us, Pete, and he treats this place just like it's its own. So we're very, very fortunate in that regard. But as far as how technology and milk has helped with our milk and our milk production, it's allowed us to give us a new start. Not only that, it's been so amazing for the cows. So the cows actually, and I'll slip in here and I'll show you where they lay down. The cows actually sleep on sand now. And so the cows love that. It's almost like they have their own cabana in here. We have really, I'm going to flip it around so I can show you. We have these big open curtains that gives them lots and lots of air, lots of shade. The cows don't do well in the heat. So we have these, pardon my language, but they're called big ass fans. So we have these big ass fans in the barn to keep them nice and cool during the hot weather. And then these girls just lay here in the sand at their leisure. The reason we have them in sand is the sand will actually allow them to stay cool, but it doesn't breed bacteria either. So because it doesn't breed bacteria in it, we have very, very rare occasion that we have any sort of mastitis or any sort of infections in the cow udders at all. So it really has limited our antibiotic use on the farm. So I would say we maybe have 1 cow every couple of months that we have to treat, rather than a couple every week, if that makes any sense. So allowing us to be able to do this freestall has also allowed them better access to feed, better access to water. And so all of those things, sorry, I've got someone here that wants to say hello. Oh, where is she here? So the access to feed, the access to water, it's really increased in milk production, and just simply naturally because they have access to what they need a little bit more frequently. And I think the exercise they get in the freestall, which the freestall basically just means they get to roam as they want to. And so being able to have that has really, really given them a bit of a better life, I guess. It's given better life for us, better life for them. It's better all around. It's just allowed us a little bit more time to work and function with the cows, rather than just trying to chase our tails, just trying to get chores. Don't get me wrong, chores are still really busy. We didn't get in the house and eat dinner until probably 9:30 last night, just with hay cutting on top of all the chores and everything. And we're fortunate with robots. We don't get out here as early as we used to, but we are still up at 6:30 and we're still out here by 7. So yeah, so I'm not sure if anybody else has any other questions, but what we can do, I'm not sure how we're doing for time here, but what we can do is we'll take a peek and see where our milk actually goes, so we can keep on that train of where we just saw the cow get milked, and now we'll just go see where it goes and how far it gets to your table. So pardon me here, I got a little labyrinth to walk through. So, oh, have I explained the Fitbits? Okay, that's actually a really good question. You're right. So what our cows have is on their collars, they actually wear a tag that acts very much like a Fitbit for a cow. So we can track what's called the rumination, which means they're chewing their cud. So rumination is very important for cattle because it lets us know how they're feeling. If they're laying there and they're chewing their cud, we know that they're feeling well, that they're happy. It tracks their activity, so it tracks their eating minutes. So it lets us know how much they're eating, which is also very important because if a cow stops eating, we know that she's not feeling well. It also keeps track of her temperature through the milk. What it will also do is basically just transmit all of that information from the robot to a computer screen so that we can get a very good gauge on if she's in heat, if she's feeling well, if she's not feeling well, and address it properly and quickly and efficiently right away. So I have someone else asking me, what is my favorite recipe that uses Ontario dairy products? Do you know what? If I can be a little bit cheeky here, it's anything to do with cheese. So we don't sell it here by any means, but we do make cheese on farm here at home, and so we really have a lot of fun playing with different cheese recipes to try and do that. And so for us, my favorite recipe would be a lasagna. So we get to use our own local beef as well as our homemade cheese and have a really delicious lasagna which feeds the whole family. When I make it, I usually make about 3, so I can send one home for my parents, one home for the gentleman that works with us, and then also keep one for ourselves. So I'm going to flip this around here and I'm going to show you. This is our big milk tank. So this is actually only half of it. So this tank will hold about 10,000 liters of milk. And we have so this is about half of it that you can see. And we ship on our farm a little over 5,000 liters every 2 days. So what happens is that tank will hold the milk for 48 hours, and then the milk truck driver will come pick it up and deliver that milk, and it goes to a processing plant within an hour from here. And so what we do as far as that goes is the milk truck driver will come in, he will take a sample of that milk, he'll make sure that it smells good, it looks good, and he'll take an actual sample to test it to make sure the quality is good when it gets to the plant before it's processed and before it gets to your table. So it's really great. So I have another question. What role does genetics play on dairy farms? So that's actually a really great question. My father is actually one that does most of the genetics here in the breeding. So what we generally do is we choose cows for different reasons. We like a bit of a taller cow here, just a bigger, framier cow, a stronger cow. So the way that breeding plays into that is we try to choose bulls that match up our cattle to make sure that they are going to be good milk producers, to make sure that they are going to be good, healthy cows, live a long time, and have very little health issues. So much like us, genetics plays a huge role into it. If certain family lines are predisposed to different genetic deformities, things like that, we try to avoid that so we can have the strongest, healthiest cows that we possibly can. So I hope that answered that. My dad usually takes care of that end of things, which I'm still trying to dip my toe into, but it's a very complicated thing that takes a definite talent, which I've yet to hone yet. So we're working on it. But I thought that what we would do is show you a little bit of our calves over here. So, so I'm going to show you these little guys over here. And so this sweet little girl is not feeling very good this morning. She didn't like that damp weather we had last night. So we just put a little jacket on her just to keep the chill off of her. But, yeah. So we have all of our animals actually grouped according to ages. And the reason that that's really important is we want to make sure that the smaller ones are, we like to make sure that they are grouped according to their proper ages, simply so that they can grow in the best possible way. I mean, you think about putting a calf that's 300 pounds with a calf that's 100 pounds. The 300-pound calf is definitely going to eat more and bully that little guy as well. So another question, how long are your cows milking for in the barn? Well, our cows are milking in the barn as long as they will milk for. So the way that works with a dairy cow is when they calve in and they have that calf, they will usually milk for about 300 days. So a cow does have to have a calf to have her milk come in, and then that cow will milk for about 30 days. And then what we do is she'll go into what's called a dry period. And so in that dry period, what she will do is she'll basically just get a little rest, a little vacation for about 2 or 3 months, and be able to kind of have a little more energy again so that she's feeling really great before she calves in and has that calf again. And so our oldest cow in the barn is Tess, and I'll show you who Tess is. She's 12 years old over here. And then our second oldest, if I can find her over here. Oh yeah, she's right here. Hold on, let me flip this around here. Hi, Tess. Hi, you. Yeah, so Tess is 12, so she gets a little special treatment as being our matriarch in the barn here. She gets to be in a nice big pack kind of on her own. But yeah, so basically with the cows, we do breed them back, and they have a calf once a year, and then they'll continue to give milk for us. So Tess has been milking for 10 years since she's 12, and then Janelle is our second oldest cow in the barn. She's 10, so she has been milking for 8 years. So Janelle is over here. She's in what's called our maternity pack. So we have this nice big pack here for the expectant mothers. So these are the girls that are going to be having a calf within probably the next couple of weeks. And we like to have them a little bit separate, just so they have a lot of space. No one's going to bug them, no one's going to hassle them. They just get to have almost like a little spa vacation before they have their baby. So we just like to make sure they have that opportunity to be stress-free, make sure they get everything they need. So another great question, how do the cows eat, and does that change over time? So small fact, a cow will drink about a bathtub full of water each day, and a cow will eat about 2 big recycle bins full of feed. Now, depending at what stage they are in their lactation, so lactation basically is a year in the cow's life. So lactating cows are cows that are milking. Dry cows are cows that are waiting to have a calf and are on a vacation from milking. So a lactating cow will get a TMR mixture, a total mixed ration, that is corn silage, hay silage. We put extra protein in there to make sure they have all the energy, all the nutrients that they need. We really treat them like athletes. We consult with a nutritionist almost weekly. With the COVID, it's been a little bit more difficult trying to have them here as often. They're coming about every 2 weeks now. But we usually have a nutritionist here almost weekly to test our feed, the feed quality, how much protein, how much energy, the mineral content, all of that in it to make sure the cows have everything they need. So the milking cows will get a higher caloric intake because they are burning more calories because of the actual milking. Now our dry cows, what they get is a little bit more of a ration that's meant to maintain. We don't want them to put on a lot of weight the last couple months of their pregnancy. What that will do is it'll cause visceral fat, which is fat around the organs, and then that can cause a lot of health issues for them as well. So we really want to make sure that they're staying full. So we actually feed them quite a bit of straw mixed in, because it's lots of fiber, fill their bellies, make them feel good. Haylage, which is a fermented hay, corn silage, which is a fermented corn product. What we do is we take that whole corn stalk, the leaves, the cob, everything, and we chop it. And we put it into those bunks that we showed you earlier. And what that does is creates corn silage, which is a really high energy milk driving food source for our cattle. And so it does change from a young age though as well. Our small cows, and I'll actually come over here to the little ones and I'll show you exactly what they eat. And I think you may actually, if we wait a few more minutes, get to see my husband feed the cows too, which is kind of exciting. So when the calves are first born, the first meal that they ever have is colostrum. So we make sure that we have the mother's colostrum, and a small fact is we actually test that colostrum to make sure that it's the best quality. If it's not the best quality, because all colostrum is not created equal, what we will do is we will use a dried bag of colostrum as well to make sure they have all the antibodies that they need possible. So cows are born without an immune system, and what gives them that immune system is that colostrum. And so for the first couple days that they're born, they will drink the milk. After they're born, they'll have colostrum and then they'll drink milk. And we will continue to feed our cows milk until about 3 to 4 months old. In the meantime, within a couple days old, they'll start to have access to grain. And this is what they eat here. So it's a pellet that has a little bit of molasses in it to make it sweet, but they also have lots of corn and protein in it as well. So there's energy, high protein, just so they can grow really nice and big and strong. So they really, really quite like that. They'll go through quite a bit of that. And then really, really important that they have lots of access to good fresh water as well. So we make sure they have access to water as well so they can stay really well hydrated, especially in the summer months too. So as they get older, we'll start to transition them as they get a little bit older. So when they're weaned off of the milk, we continue to give them grain for sustenance. And then as we're weaning them off of the grain, probably at 4 to 5 months, we'll actually start giving them some of the cow ration, that TMR ration, because it's a higher protein, just to make sure they've got enough energy and enough protein to grow big and strong. And then as they're getting to be kind of teenager-ish for a cow, which would be probably 6 months old, then we start to switch them over to what's our heifer ration. So it's a little less protein, more of a maintenance diet again. So enough to help them grow big and strong, but not to put too much weight on either. We want them, so our goal is not to create a fat cow. Our goal is to make sure that they're healthy and strong and getting nutrients that they need without overfeeding them as well. So they've always got access to feed, but we want to make sure it's the right combination of things so they stay really healthy. So I have another question. How many cows are you milking on your farm? So we are currently milking, I believe, 84 cows. So small fact here, when we were in our older barn, the tie cell barn, we were milking up to 90 cows in a barn that was built for 61. So we had about 30 that we kept outside, and we had to bring back and forth. At that time, milking over 90 cows, we were only shipping under 4,000 liters every 2 days, simply because of the robotics, the access to food, the better ventilation, all of the improvements we made through automation. We are able to milk less cows with a higher production. So it's just a little interesting fact there. So it really does, the environment that they're in really does matter. And so I am definitely very grateful that we chose the route that we did, because it's increased our production, decreased the amount of cattle that we need to have to reach that, but also increase their quality of life as well. So another great question, how do I know if I'm choosing a Canadian Ontario dairy product? I'm going to see if I have a photo of that label somewhere, but I'm sure Farm Food Care can make a post about that after this to show you exactly what we need to find. So what you're going to look for is, and I don't have it close to me here, I'm sorry, I'm in the barn, all my Canadian dairy products are in my house. What you want to look for is a little blue cow label on there that says Dairy Farmers of Canada. If it doesn't have that label, and sometimes the label is black and white, most of the time it's blue and white, but if it doesn't have that label that actually says Dairy Farmers of Canada or Dairy Farmers of Ontario, it's not local milk. So a small fact is that most people don't realize the sustainability of the dairy industry. We don't ship our milk very far when it comes to fluid milk. So the reality is, most of the time, if you are buying cream or milk for your home, it has come from a farm similar to ours within an hour of your home. So we're very, very fortunate that we don't have to travel far to have such a great quality product and to have it so locally sourced. So the dairy industry as a whole, all across Canada, really mimics that plan, and we are very fortunate to be able to have such quality local products, and we are all adherent to the same standards. So yeah, I hope that answered your question. I'm not sure how we are on time. I'm going to kind of pop in. We're going to say hi to Doug so I can see what our timing is here. All right. Here's Farmer Doug. I'm just going to check the clock here. Farmer Doug, what time is it for me here? 10:30. Oh, so we're just about ready to wrap up. The tour is supposed to be about 30 minutes. I guess we've gone over a little bit. But if anybody has any more questions, I'd be happy to answer them. But more than anything, we are just so grateful to be part of such an amazing system here in Ontario. Dairy farming in Canada is probably one of the most rewarding things that I've done in my own life. And I'm so grateful that we've been able to carry on our family legacy. So I just really hope that, especially in these times, and not only these times, but that you choose Canadian dairy. We really do take the time and take the effort to make sure that the quality of product that we're putting out there to your table adheres to the highest standards. And we take a lot of pride in what we do, and there's a lot of history there too. So thank you so much to everyone that tuned in today. We really appreciate it. And happy Food Week, happy local Food Week. I'm going to give you one last little tour of the barn before we go, let you meet some of these sweet little girls here, and boys. The yellow tags are the boys, the white tags are the girls. We actually keep all of our calves here at Browndale, boys or girls. And then, yeah, have a great day, everybody. Thank you so much. I really hope you enjoyed it. And if you want to find more cute videos, you're welcome to follow our personal page, Browndale Farms, the story behind the milk. We try to do our best to keep you informed and share a little bit of what our day-to-day is. Have a great day. Thanks so much.